on to our candidates forum. As you see, 9 candidates are seated on the stage, and we know that candidates have many commitments, so any of you is free to leave after you speak if you need to do so. We hope you will stay and meet the public back in Dining Room 2 when the forum is over, if we have time. We're going to first hear from 4 candidates for the Orange County Board of Supervisors. Sadly, we here in the village cannot vote for any of them. Our district is District 5 with Republican Lisa Bartlett, and nobody is opposing her this election cycle. But we can root for these candidates and wish them success in their races. You may have friends or family in their districts, and you can share your knowledge of these candidates. Each of them will have 3 minutes, and I'd like to introduce you to our timer, Ann Pearson. She's right there, so please do keep an eye on her. She will tell you by holding up a card when you have 1 minute, when you have 30 seconds, and when your time is up. And I know you will all comply, right? Thank you. Okay. These are nonpartisan races, but as you know, the incumbents on the Board of Supervisors are all Republicans. Well, all of our candidates here tonight are Democrats. First to speak is a candidate for the Board of Supervisors, District 2, Brendan Perkins.
Hey everybody, how are we doing tonight? Great. So I don't like standing behind the podium because I like you to see me and I like to see you too. So I'm Brendan Perkins. I'm running for Orange County Board of Supervisors, District 2. I want to tell you a little bit about myself, and I want to give you a little bit of a consolation for not being able to vote for a Democrat in Lisa Bartlett's district. So, District 2, yes. So District 2 starts in Newport Beach and it goes north along the coast. It includes Costa Mesa, Fountain Valley, south of Warner Avenue, and then it includes the northern cities such as Seal Beach, Los Alamitos, La Palma, Buena Park, Stanton, and Cypress. I think I named all of them. So just a little bit about me. I grew up in Flint, Michigan. Have all of you heard of the things going on there? Yeah, what do you hear about it? Bad water. But what I think about Flint, Michigan is the crisis with water was actually a crisis of government, and that's what I see in our County Board of Supervisors. I often tell people what happened in Flint can happen anywhere, including Orange County. And the way that we prevent that from happening here is by getting involved in holding our elected officials accountable. The way I've chosen to do that is to get in the race and run. So I ask for your support in other ways. I know you can't vote for me, but I want to let you know that even if you're in Lisa Bartlett's district, once we are elected, the Democrats sitting up here today, into the County Board of Supervisors, we represent the entire county. And so it's really important that you get out there and support the Democratic candidates in the race. You can do that by contributing, and you can do that by getting involved in canvassing and doing other volunteer activities. And the reason that's important is because most of the issues we have in Orange County are solvable in local races. So you can solve homelessness, you can deal with affordable housing, which is a big issue in Orange County. We can deal with, I see I have the 1 minute sign there. We can deal with transportation and education, and all of these are important issues for Orange County. So I ask for your support. I ask for your support for the other districts as well, and let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have 3 candidates for the Board of Supervisors, District 4, and first we're going to hear from Rose Espinoza.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to this forum. I'm a lifelong resident of North Orange County, and I've lived in La Habra in a migrant camp that was known as a Red Camp, which was built by the La Habra Citrus Association for its migrant workers. And my father was a migrant worker, and my mother cleaned houses up in La Habra Heights. And they taught us all the things that we needed to know to work hard, respect people, go to church, and serve our community. And I did, and I worked for a company 34 years, the Beckman Instruments, so I worked in the private workforce. as a principal designer for 34 years, and I decided to leave because there was a pressing issue that I was addressing in 1991, and I knew that I wanted to continue addressing it, so I left my company, and it was the growing gang activity and recruitment involvement that was taking place in our neighborhood. And after having our truck graffitied, and there were threats of a drive-by, I decided that I was going to find out what is going on in this neighborhood. Why aren't the people up in arms about this issue? It wasn't that they weren't up in arms, it was that they didn't know how to fix it. And I learned that the parents couldn't help their kids with their homework that was being brought home in English. So my husband and I opened our garage to the kids and provided homework help. Well, the media called it Rosie's Garage. And it was intended to be for 2 years. Now it's been 28 years that we have been helping these kids. Along the way, I was asked to run for city council. And it took a while, but I won my seat in 2000. I have been on the La Habra City Council now for 17 years and was unanimously elected mayor 4 times. I presently serve on SCAG, Southern California Association of Government Community Economic and Human Development Committee. I am the city's at-large member for OCOG, Orange County Council of Government. I am the 4th District Representative for the League of California Cities. I am a board member for the San Gabriel and Lower Los Angeles Rivers and Mountain Conservancy. I'm also a committee member for St. Jude Community Benefit, addressing the health and quality needs of the community in North Orange County. I'm also a board member of Advance, which is addressing access and assistance to college for low-income people. I'm also on NeighborWorks Orange County, which is addressing affordable housing ownership. And I am CEO of Rosie's Garage. I have many years of local and community experience, and I'm prepared to represent the 4th District, which encompasses Brea, Placentia, La Habra, Fullerton, Buena Park, and Anaheim. So please visit my website, www.roseforsupervisor.com. Thank you.
The next candidate in the race for Board of Supervisors District 4, who will also have 3 minutes, is Cynthia Aguirre.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cynthia Aguirre. I'm a candidate for Board of Supervisors District 4. I just want to give you a little bit of my background. I've lived in the city, in the district pretty much all my life, and I've lived in La Habra and in Fullerton for many, many years. I currently work as a budget analyst for the County Board of Supervisors. A lot of people aren't 100% sure what the Board of Supervisors really does. And so the Board of Supervisors is this often misunderstood position, and we hear about them, we've heard about them a lot more recently than we have in the past due to the homeless issues that we're seeing by the Anaheim Stadium and so forth. But the Board of Supervisors, what they actually do is they approve the annual budgets and contracts for projects and services throughout the entire county. I serve as an analyst now for the 3 largest County of Orange agencies, which are the Healthcare Agency, the Housing and Community Services Department, and the Social Services Agency. I am a board member on the La Habra School Board. I'm currently the vice president, and I'm also a founding member of the Operation Lay in Anaheim, an organization that seeks to address access and inequalities for students in Anaheim to be able to learn literacy and to get them ahead in school. One of the reasons I decided to run is I ran for the school board in 2014 and won my seat fairly easily. There was 3 vacant positions at the time. What I learned being on that board is that students do not succeed if their parents are not succeeding. And from my perspective, from being an expert in the county budget, at least 1/3 of the county budget is going towards my district, towards our 6 cities, which are Anaheim, Buena Park, Brea, Placentia, and Fullerton. And we really need representation on that board that understands our population. And that's my other background. I have advanced degrees in sociology, population studies. So I hope to get your support, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Rounding out the candidates for the Board of Supervisors District 4 is Joe Kerr.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My name's Joe Kerr. I'm also in the 4th District. The 4th District of Orange County is La Habra, Brea, Fulton, Buena Park, Placentia, and West and Central Anaheim. I'm a second-generation firefighter. I'm retired from the Orange County Fire Authority. I was a fire captain for 34 years. I was assigned to your Firehouse 22 in Paseo del Valencia for many, many years. I rolled in here many, many, many times over those years. My dad was a firefighter before me. My kid brother's a firefighter for the state. And I got an older brother who's a Navy SEAL and a sheriff deputy, and my dad has no idea where he went wrong with that kid brother who was a sheriff deputy instead of being a firefighter. In December 6, 1994, the Orange County bankruptcy occurred, and the firefighters got together and asked if I would organize a Firefighters Association for the 1.7 million people we protect. Governor Wilson was trying to lay off half of our firefighting force, including all of your paramedics that run into your community. We were able to stop the layoffs, create our own Firefighters Association. We were able to stop the privatization of the paramedics. And why that's important to you is your paramedics show up every day on engine 22, on engine 222, on ladder 22, on engine 19, 57s, 31s, 24s, and 38s. All the folks, all the numbers you see on the fire trucks going through your town every day. And we were able to stop the privatization, we were able to stop the layoffs, and that's why you have paramedics rolling into your community today, and you don't pay for them other than your property tax. What they're going to try to do is the governor is going to make sure that you paid for them twice, with your property tax, and then when they showed up to help you with your emergency, you're going to have to pay for them again. The reason why I'm running is Governor Davis tried to appoint me to the Orange County Board of Supervisors in 2002. And the County of Orange changed the law so that the governor could not appoint a supervisor to an open seat. The entire law was changed from a general law county to a general law county with a charter. Recently, the County of Orange and the labor groups asked me if I'd head to Sacramento and bring back the vehicle license fee money in 2014 because the license fee, $45 million a year, was taken by the state and it was going to be used elsewhere. We were able to negotiate with the governor, the speaker, and the pro tem to bring all of that money back. And both Governor Davis and Governor Brown said, look, you're already doing the job, you might as well run for the seat. The seat's important. It's an open seat. It's a Democratic seat by 8 points for the first time ever. We had Lou Correa, who is a Democratic supervisor for 2 years. Prior to that, we haven't had a Democratic seat or a Democratic supervisor going back to the 80s, to the 70s when Jerry Brown was first governor. So we have a good chance of capturing a seat and capturing a Democrat on there so we could offer transparency. Even though I'm leading in the fundraising and leading in the endorsements and have all the 90 unions in Orange County and 50 unions for firefighters across the nation, the way you can help out is contributions. Everything today for voter outreach is about contributions. I left envelopes in the other room. I left business cards. Love to hear from you. Anything you could do to help out would be appreciated. And thank you for doing this great forum tonight. It's a beautiful auditorium, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. As most of you know, the June 5 election is what's called a jungle primary, where the top 2 vote getters go on to the general election in November. So it's going to be very interesting on June 5 when we have the primary. Our candidates from here on out will have 12 minutes total to talk for 5 to 7 minutes, and the rest of the time will include question and answer portion. We will have roaming volunteers, I believe it's Jonathan and Susan, with microphones in the audience to come to those who raise their hands with questions. Next is our candidate for the 74th State Assembly District. This is a partisan race, and the top 2 vote getters, as I said, of any political party, go on to the November election. The incumbent in the 74th is a Republican, a real right-winger, I hear, named Matt Harper. Many of you already know her, and she is the California Democratic Party's endorsed candidate, so please welcome Cotty Petrie Norris.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. I just want to start by saying what an exciting time it is to be a Democrat in Orange County, right? Well, in America, does everybody know what happened last night in Pennsylvania? Right? So we've won in Virginia, we've won in Wisconsin, we've won in Alabama, we just won in rural Pennsylvania, and in 2018, we are going to win big right here in Orange County. And I want to say thanks to all of you for the part that you're playing in making that happen, both with your vote and with your activism and with all the work that you do every day as part of this club. And I'd also like to say thank you to all these amazing candidates that are on the stage with me tonight. You know, we are building a real progressive movement in Orange County for the very first time, or as far as I'm aware, for the very first time ever. I really do believe that this is a watershed moment for Orange County, and that electing officials up and down the ticket is absolutely critical in order for us to sustain this progressive movement and make it something that lasts for the next 20 years. So I'm super excited to be part of that. As Linda said, my name is Kati Petrie Norris, and I am running for the California State Assembly in Assembly District 74. So the 74th district includes Laguna Woods, Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, most of Irvine, Costa Mesa, and South Huntington Beach. It's a pretty big district. There's 400,000 people there, 275,000 registered voters. So there's a lot of folks we need to talk to, a lot of people that we need to connect with. The reason that I am running for assembly is really pretty simple. I really believe that Orange County can do better. So at every level, we deserve a representative who reflects our values. We deserve a representative who will stand up for the issues that we care about. And we deserve a representative who's going to start to deliver for our district. And this is really critical. Bring more of our Orange County tax dollars back here to Orange County. Some of you, it sounds like, know Matt Harper. Do we know Matt Harper? So if anyone knows anything about Matt Harper, you know that that's not happening right now. So Harper is one of these super far-right, really partisan politicians who puts partisan politics in front of getting things done for the community. He is anti-women, he's anti-worker, he's anti-environment, he's anti-immigrant. Unfortunately, the list goes on. I know that's not who we are in this room, and really importantly, I know that's not who we are in this district. I really believe that it's time for a change, and that's why I'm stepping up to run for assembly. Let me spend just a couple minutes telling you a little bit about my background, and then I'll talk about what the assembly does. We talked a little bit about what the supervisors do. So I grew up not too far away in San Diego, California. I grew up in a blue-collar union family, and thanks very much to my good public schools and some really great school teachers who really inspired me. I was able to go on to Yale University, and at Yale I majored in English and economics, and for the past 20 years I've had a career in finance and in marketing. So I'm a businesswoman, I'm a working mother, I am a leader in my community, and I know how to solve problems. I know how to get things done, and that's the exact same set of skills that I'll bring to the table when I go to Sacramento representing you in the assembly. When I tell people that I'm running for assembly, the first thing they say is, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing, that's so exciting." And then they say, "What's the assembly?" So that's pretty funny. You guys are probably better informed than most, but I'll spend just 30 seconds on that. So the Assembly is essentially California's Congress, right? So working with the governor and with the state Senate, the Assembly is responsible for establishing the laws for the state of California, for establishing the budget for the state of California, for determining whether and how we raise taxes. So what happens in the state of California is super important, right? We're not just the largest economy in the country, we are the 5th largest economy in the world. So as a standalone, we're like neck and neck with the UK. So it's a super important role. And what's also important is that a good assembly member can deliver a lot back to their community in the form of projects and legislation that address local needs and funding at a state level. Right now, with Harper in office, we are getting nothing back. So it's time to change that, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serve you in the State Assembly. And thank you so much for your support, and thank you so much for the contribution that the Laguna Woods Democratic Club has made to my campaign. I'm very grateful. All right. Questions? Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is about the single-payer health bill that's currently in the Assembly. Could you tell us what you feel about the single-payer in general and the specific bill, whether you would support it or not support it? Thank
Okay,
you.
absolutely. So I think we all agree that health care is a right and not a privilege. So we live, thank you. We live in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, and we are the only industrialized nation in the world that does not provide health care for its citizens. That's shameful, right? It's a moral issue. And it's also an economic issue, because while we're providing worse care, the cost of our care in America is about 2x what it is in countries where they do have universal care. So we're seeing, worse coverage, worse outcomes, and higher costs. Something's not adding up, right? So I absolutely believe that we need to see universal health care, and I absolutely support a Medicare for all system. As far as SB 562 specifically, I think it is a good starting point. I think that we need to let it out of committee so that we can flesh out the missing pieces, right? So all the puzzle pieces are not there, particularly in terms of the transition and implementation plan. There's a lot of complexity that still needs to be worked through, but I think I just said to somebody today, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So we've got to start walking down that path and solving that problem. I think the good news is that we all know that it's the right thing to do. We also know that it's the economically right thing to do. I absolutely believe that there's the political will to do it, and especially here in California. So I'm feeling really optimistic about that.
No other questions? Good evening. I think the single largest crisis issue facing Orange County as a whole is homelessness. I thought I was, I have to hold it closer. I think the single largest crisis issue facing Orange County as a whole is homelessness, and I wondered if you'd care to comment, please.
Absolutely. Yes, that is definitely, I think, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing, not just in Orange County, but across the state of California. And I think a couple things. So first, we need to come up with compassionate and integrated and regional solutions to Orange County's homeless crisis. So I think right now, what we've seen for years is that you get the people in Newport Beach kind of sending their people to Costa Mesa, and then the Costa Mesa people send them to Huntington Beach, and the Huntington Beach people send them to Laguna, and no one is developing a sustainable solution. I think it's really important, the point that Brendan made is that in a lot of ways, this has to start with county leadership. And I think we all know that our Orange County supervisors have totally abdicated any responsibility for that. So there's something like $230 million that's already been allocated for homelessness and for treatment and for housing that hasn't been spent. So I think that it has to start there, and then I think there's a partnership between the county and the state to find long-term solutions. But I am very, very excited about the prospect of having people like Brendan and people like one of these other three candidates serving us in the OC supervisors, because I think that's going to make a huge change.
Anne, how are we doing on time? Okay.
You're on it. It's good.
Would you speak to the issue of infrastructure for California and in general, and in particular, what your thoughts are about the bullet train?
The bullet train. You know, I think that I remember when I first heard about the bullet train, I thought it sounded like a fantastic idea, right? And it makes a lot of sense. And I think we all know that we need to come up with infrastructure and transportation solutions that aren't just about building more roads and, you know, building more highways. But that has not been executed well, right? So it's now, the budget overrun is something like 300% the original estimate, and the timeline for delivery is something like 2x the original estimate. I really do feel that when the California State Legislature and the California State Government is taking on a project of that enormity, that we've got to have better project plans and better estimates. So at this point, I mean, I think that we are quite far along in the initial stages, but I think that there needs to be a review and a decision taken about, kind of given where we are, how much further do we go? Because I think we have to be realistic and confront the facts of where that project is right now. So I'd love to see that materialize, but not with the current situation in terms of the cost and timeline overruns.
I think. Anne, how are we doing on time?
1 minute.
1 minute. Is there one more question?
Okay, you asked for it.
All right.
So Jennifer Lawrence has been on the radio and elsewhere that she's going to take a year off making movies and go around the country talking for Represent Us, which
Okay.
promotes the American Anti-Corruption Act, which has some dramatic ways to reduce and get rid of the influence of money in politics. Do you have some thoughts about doing some dramatic things to get rid of the influence of money in campaigns and with legislators?
I did not know that Jennifer Lawrence was taking this on as her personal mission.
Well, I
but
didn't
think
know
it's
until yesterday
I
either.
think it's a noble one. So I absolutely agree that I think the corrosive influence of money in politics is one of the most fundamental challenges that's confronting our system, of government right now. I think it's incredibly destabilizing to our government and threatening to our democracy, right? So, all right, I've got my time. So, we know what's happening in, all right, I'll give like a 15-second answer to finish it up. We know what's happening. We've got billionaires that are buying our politicians, and we've got policies that make no sense unless you look at the money trail. So from everything from our healthcare policy in America to our gun policy in America, I think that if you stripped the money out of the system, we'd end up with much more sensible solutions that take care of people, take care of families, and help us build a sustainable middle class. Well, thank you again for, I know, Linda, you said we've got other things to do. We're busy. You guys are all busy too. So thank you so much for, taking your evening tonight to come out and share it with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cotty. Do we have Marion Simon for Mary Navarro?
No.
No? Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, you're Marion. Nate, did you need to leave
Yes.
now? Or do you want to go first? You'll go out and then come back. Okay, all right. Okay. Right, okay. We just switched here. Next is a candidate, a spokesperson for a candidate running for OC Board of Education Area 5. And this race will be decided on June 5 with the candidate receiving the highest number of votes declared the winner. So please do welcome Marion Simon for Mary Navarro. And she will have 5 to 7 minutes to speak and then up to a total of 12 minutes to take questions. Thank you, Marion.
All right. Thank you all for coming here tonight. Mary couldn't be here tonight, and Oh, is it on? Am I? Closer. Closer? Okay, there we go. Not experienced at this. Mary has asked me to pass on a message to everyone here that she needs some help. She's fighting a Goliath who is getting 3 major funders to her campaign. She's receiving $50,000 each from the Republican Party, from the Lincoln Party, and from the charter schools. She feels that her best defense is you, and she's looking for some donors to come and stand with her, even if they can give $10, that would be great. She feels that it's something that she can stand in solidarity with you folks, as opposed to her competitor, who is standing with special interest groups. And we just learned this afternoon that one of the reasons that Lisa Sparks is running, she's the Republican challenger, is that Chapman University is authorizing, they're writing up a charter, a school charter. And they're looking to get this charter approved at the school board level. Of course, she would be there to approve such a thing. It's going to be K through 12 with 800 students accepted, each student paying $10,500. So if you do the math, that ends up to $8,400,000. So this is a money trail, folks. So we could use all of your help. I will be here at the table after this gathering here tonight. If you have any additional questions or comments, I would love to speak with you. Thank you so much. Okay. Linda wants me to take some questions. Does anyone have any questions?
I'm sorry, would you explain the Chapman relationship again? I didn't understand.
Okay. The challenger is a Republican who comes from Chapman University, and they're looking to have their person on the board, the school board, Orange County School Board, who, when this charter comes up for approval, would be there to pass this.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
For a charter school.
So that 10,000 plus comes out of money that would otherwise go to public schools?
Yes, charters are a part of the public education funding, and so this takes money out of our funding for this charter school.
All right, can I just ask one quick question then? Some people here have already seen Mary, but some haven't. Could you just please give us a brief bit about her background and about what she has been out doing already as far as visiting schools, et cetera, and how many cities in Orange County have been using the OC Board of Ed to approve their charter schools when they are denied in their cities.
Okay, that's a tall order there. I'll do my best with that. Mary has been 38 years as an educator. She has held every position from being a teacher to being an administrator, and the last position held was that of a assistant superintendent of schools. She's been totally committed to education. She hails from Northern California. She and her husband 2 years ago relocated down here to Dana Point, and she had been in retirement for a little less than a couple of years, and she kind of got to know the community and what was going on, and she felt that it was time that she stepped forward and contribute her many skills to being a trustee of the 5th District Orange County School Board. She's been out talking to the teachers and to the principals at the various schools, both charter and public schools. She has been talking to people about how the public school system is the corner of democracy, and we need somebody to stand up to help preserve it and keep it and get it, make it better. In terms of Mary's aspirations. This is what she wants to do. This has been her lifelong quest as being an educator. It's going to be a 4-year term. You probably already know this, but this election coming up on June the 5th will be the deciding point as to who becomes the next trustee of District 5. Thank you all.
I just had a small question. Does everybody here know about the charter school problem in Orange County? They take the money and they handpick students, and they don't honor all the students that are in schools, and it's just like, to me, it's just like privatizing prisons. Thank you so much, Marion. Appreciate it. Following is a candidate for district attorney / public administrator, right? That's the name of the position that our next candidate is looking to fill. And in June, the race would be over if any candidate received a majority of the votes. Otherwise, it would go to November election. So please, as a candidate for district attorney, welcome Brett Murdoch. And you all know who the current district attorney is, right? He's going to tell us.
I am. Thank you so much. My name is Brett Murdoch, and I'm running for Orange County District Attorney. And I've got a bunch of things I want to talk to you about, but first, I want to start out with my qualifications. And I'd like to tell you that I think one of my number one qualifications for this seat is that I am a very, very proud Democrat. Our party might not be perfect, but it's the party of love instead of hate, right? It's the party that puts people before money. It's the party of probably the best president of the United States that we'll see in a long time. It is the party that puts children way, way before the right to bear arms, don't we? So, again, no party's perfect, but we are by far the best party in this country. And we are going to do some very, very special things in this upcoming 2018 election. I'm also an attorney. I own my own law practice in the city of Brea. I'm a general practicing attorney. So I joke, everybody asks me, what's your specialty? My specialty is my community. So just about whatever comes through the door in my law practice, I do everything I can do to help them out. Whether it be sexual harassment in the workplace. I've handled several cases. Coincidentally, but maybe not coincidentally, mostly my clients are Latina women who have been sexually harassed in the workplace. All the way to simple things like estate planning, contract negotiations, and things, and anything that you need when it comes to the law, I usually can handle for you in my practice. I was elected to the Brea City Council in 2010 and served as mayor of the city of Brea in 2014. And as mayor and council member of the city of Brea, I represented the city of Brea on several regional boards, like the Southern California Association of Governments, the California League of Cities, the Sanitation District. And I actually had one-on-one interactions with one Matthew Harper, who needs to be beaten. I've seen him personally. No, not not literally, but figuratively in the election. We all need to support Cotty. I know that for a fact, personally. I also ran for Congress in 2016. I ran against Ed Royce in District 39. Have y'all heard that he retired? Yes. I got 42.5 percentage points. He beat me by 7.5 points. He spent over, I think, $3.5 million. And I'd like to think that I softened him up a little bit for this election because we're taking him down, figuratively or literally. So the other thing is I want to tell you, I want to sort of give you a, really? Jeez. I want to tell you about I want to give you a shameless plug of an endorsement that I have. Anybody know who Ronnie Fox is?
Yes.
She's my wife. I joke that instead of my better half, she's my better 75%. She worked here for 10 years in the community services department. So even if you don't know her name, she's worked here for a while, and I've actually been here to see shows in this very auditorium because she dragged me to watch some shows over here. Maybe it'll come out in the questions, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about the DA's office, okay, and who our incumbent is. Anybody know who the incumbent district attorney is? Tony Rackauckus. I call him T-Rack for short. He's been the district attorney for 20 years, and we're going to beat him. So now, ask me a question about him, and I'll tell you more about him.
Would you tell us something about Tony Rackauckus?
Thank you for the question. Our current district attorney is a disaster. He's inept and he's corrupt. Let me just tell you a couple things. First and foremost, you all know about the worst mass murder that's ever happened in the history of Orange County, California, in a salon in Seal Beach, right? Where 8 people were murdered, okay? The killer admitted that he did it. Your taxpayers, $1.5 million went to prosecuting this man, a man that admitted that he did it. Why? Because Tony completely botched the prosecution of this man. Why? Because he wanted to get some more evidence on this defendant to prove that he deserved the death penalty. So he worked with the sheriff and put a jailhouse snitch in the sheriff to get some more information about the defendant so they could use it to prove up their case for the death penalty. Well, they didn't disclose this information to the defense, okay? It is the law that you must do that, and I could be here forever explaining that to you, but it's simply stated, it's the law that the prosecution must give exculpatory evidence to the defense. He didn't do that. He wanted the win so bad. He wanted the death penalty so bad that he broke the law to get it. That's one of the things that I'm absolutely going to change in this district attorney's office. There are 275 deputy district attorneys that work in the office. The elected DA, obviously, is the CEO of these attorneys and sets the culture, okay? Sets the marching orders for prosecutions done by the frontline DAs, okay? And right now, there is a win-at-all-cost culture in our current DA's office that basically is saying, do everything you possibly can to win, including break the law. Of course, he's not saying that, but there's the culture, there's that pressure so much to get another win, right, in the conviction column, instead of doing the right thing. The DA's job isn't to get as many convictions as he or she possibly can. The DA's job is to serve justice. Serve justice first. If the DA has a case in front of him or her, and the evidence isn't there, or they discover that the defendant didn't actually do it, they are legally obligated and morally obligated to say, I need to let you go and set you free because you didn't do it, or I don't have the evidence to prove my case against you. This DA doesn't do that. You want to hear a little story about, okay, we've got another question. I could go on, I could obviously go on forever on this. Yes?
Okay, well, maybe you'd like to go on for a little bit on elder abuse. I care a lot about senior issues, and we hear a lot about scams and cybercrime and IRS scams and grandparents scams, and I was wondering if you'd like to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you for that question. I mentioned to you about my better 75%. She has her master's degree in gerontology, the study of aging. So the dinner table conversation ever since, well, even before we were married, has been about senior issues. It is near and dear to my heart, near and dear to my wife's heart, and it's something that we've been working on together for a long time. So what will I do regarding these issues as district attorney? These 275 deputy district attorneys that I mentioned to you are organized in units that have specialties. I worked in the OCDA's office for 2 years as a law clerk when I was at law school at Chapman. And the units are organized, for example, homicide, the gang unit, sexual abuse unit. And there's all these units where smaller groups of attorneys focus on certain crimes. Elder abuse unit, absolutely. Okay, it is a serious issue. It is a real issue, and it hasn't been focused on. And in fact, I actually handle civil cases in my practice that deal with elder abuse issues. It's near and dear to my heart, and it will be a focus as DA.
We have a question over here.
Hi. Hi. You sound like a really great candidate, by the way, especially with all the bad news that we've heard from the Orange County District Attorney. And I'm not totally up on the news, but I've read, about that jailhouse snitching that you mentioned, and the hiding of the evidence and all that stuff. And it's like, what I don't understand, and I didn't seem to get this from the newspaper, maybe as inside you'd know, what motivates like the district attorney to do that, especially since they're not getting a raise for it. It's just it seems like a salary job. I mean, what is the motivation to just be so vicious and illegal?
Sure, I appreciate the question. It comes back to values, right? In a way, I can even call them political values. Sorry, but he's a Republican. I mean, he comes from a party that wants to be tough on crime. He comes from a party that wants to have a percentage in his dossier that says, my conviction rate is 97.5%, and therefore your community is safer. Look, make no mistake about it. There are some terrible, terrible criminals out there, okay? I'm not going to be soft on crime when it comes to violent felons that are making our neighborhoods and our communities unsafe. But what about the lower level misdemeanors, right? What about the crimes where you realize right off the bat, they didn't commit that crime because they're a bad, violent person. They committed that crime because they're homeless, right? They committed that crime because they're needy, right? So instead of focusing on incarceration and raising your conviction rate just a notch more, let's help these people. Let's get these people the resources that they need to get better instead of just throwing them in jail and locking them up. Thank you. I'll tell you what, 5 minutes goes by like that when you're up here. You guys should try it.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Ann, for timing. Appreciate it. You ready? Okay. Here is a candidate for the OC Assessor's Office, This race may be decided on June 5 if a candidate gets a majority of the votes cast. Otherwise, it will go on to the November ballot. Please welcome Nathaniel Nate Fernandez Epstein. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. First of all, I just wanted to say I apologize for leaving the stage. I had to take a phone call from Betty Yee. So she said the campaign's on the right track, so hopefully she'll come on and endorse me eventually, but I'm going to keep working with her. So I'm Nathaniel Fernandez Epstein. I'm running for Orange County Assessor. Let me give you a little background on me. So a lot of people ask me about my name, Fernandez Epstein, and where that comes from. So my mom is Filipino, and my dad is of Jewish heritage. I come from a plumber's family. They all worked in the unions, so I'm really honored to have that tradition in my family. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. I went to college at UCLA. After I graduated, I moved out here to Orange County about 8 years ago to go to law school at Whittier Law School. So while I was at Whittier, I volunteered for the Share Ourselves Clinic in Santa Ana and in Costa Mesa, helping residents who can't afford legal aid by welcoming them in, talking to them, seeing what their issues were, and trying to hopefully help them out. I also worked in an estate planning office all throughout law school, and that's where I got my unique experience that will help me for the assessor's office. During that time, I transferred over 500 properties in Orange County and throughout California. Each one needs special forms that goes to the assessor's office. I fought appeals that we needed to when people were overassessed, and we won, so that's very important. And so once I finished law school, I continued on in estate planning, and now I'm an estate planning and trust litigation attorney. And so that's why I came to the assessor's office and wanted to run for the position, because of my experience. And all of you know what the assessor's office does? No, that's the common response. They say, why the assessor's office? So the assessor's office is responsible for valuing all the property in the county for tax purposes. So once we get the values, the auditor controller collects the taxes from you. So don't get mad at my office, get mad at the auditor controller's office. And that money gets sent out to all the local government, everything, and funds everything. And so it's a very important position, and the reason why it's so important is we need to have transparency. When we're collecting that much money, we want to ensure that people aren't being taken advantage of, because it could be you, your family members, it could be your kids, your grandkids, everything. Especially if you're on a strict income, you never know how that dollar or $1,000 might impact your life. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm running, because I don't like people being taken advantage of. So some of the things also, I'm involved in the community. I'm on the board of directors of the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of Orange County. I'm also on the board of directors of the Los Alamitos Youth Center. They provide low-cost aftercare for children near Los Alamitos. They also provide music programs, and they also do a program called Every 15 Minutes that teaches high school kids about drunk driving. So it's a really great organization. I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm also the treasurer of the Filipino American Democratic Caucus for the state of California. And because of my experience in the community and through my work, the assessor's office is a right fit. And I believe that we need a transparent assessor's office. We need to be fair. We need equity in the office. And I ask all of you for your support. Thank you so much for being here tonight and inviting me tonight. Nathaniel Fernandez Epstein for Orange County Assessor. Thank you.
Questions? Raise your hands. I have one right here.
Nathaniel, can you describe the process one goes about in assessing a property's value?
Sure. So a property gets reassessed when it's improved or when there's a change of ownership. So when you sell your property or if someone passes away, those are the most common instances when a property is going to be reassessed. So in my work, a lot of it happened when people would transfer their property into their trust, or when someone passed away and it got passed down to their kids. And so if you don't fill out those forms correctly, you're going to be reassessed. So there's a Prop 58 form because there's an exclusion from parent to child. So you have to make sure that that form gets submitted, or else you're going to get reassessed, and they threaten you with a penalty, and if you don't pay your taxes. And then when you appeal it, it takes 6 months minimum, usually, to get that money back. So that's why I want to make sure that people know where their money's going. And so those are the main reasons. That's how properties assessed the most common ways.
I'm inviting a licensed CPA from Devel del Norte, Still Thomas, Philippines. Do you support Chapter 61 of Prop 13, inviting from the other 5 counties?
Can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
Are you supporting Chapter 61 in the other 5 counties for reciprocity from other counties on Prop 13?
So let me talk a little bit about Prop 13. So Prop 13, its intentions were great. It meant to keep people in their homes. It meant to keep everyone from their taxes from going up and pricing them out. So I'm in favor of a split tax roll. So I want to keep people in their homes. I want to keep the percentage. It's about 1.1% is the average in Orange County. And then we could have a split roll for large businesses that will end up paying their fair share. From some of the things I looked at, it looks like we generate about $6 to $10 billion statewide if we were to assess those bigger businesses, all money which could be going to local schools and local government to make sure that we take care of our counties, and that's really important. So I hope that answered your question. I couldn't hear the first part of it. Can you expand? I'm not sure about.
If you enjoy a 13th in another county, and you come to this county, you can transfer to this county if the property is assessed slightly lesser?
Oh, yeah. I mean, overall, like I said, if the whole goal of it was to keep people in their homes. Like I said, there's all these different transfer provisions that overassess people, and so I would be okay, and I'd support that if you have a lower tax rate and you want to bring it with you, if the circumstances are right, then yes, I'd support it.
Is my understanding correct that big businesses are still covered by Proposition 13 from the time it passed?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
like Disneyland and the major corporations
Yeah.
are not paying increased
Yeah.
taxes, but any of us who have moved are?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the follow-up on Prop 13 and split rolls, that's not in your jurisdiction or responsibility, but you would be a spokesperson, would you not?
Yes, correct.
For amending that in the legislature?
Yes.
Is the assessor's office make the determination as to how much to increase the tax within the boundaries of Proposition 13? It seems as if every year automatically they assess you an increase of 2%.
Yeah, that's part of it. It depends also on where you live, because each county and each city has their own tax and levies that they include in the tax rate. So it really depends on where you are. The assessor's office doesn't really control it. The assessor's office responsibility is really just valuing the property. So we don't actually set the tax rate, but the values that come from us, and then it's set by someone else. So like we said earlier, it's not really within my jurisdiction, but I could be a spokesman to make sure that it's proper for everyone.
Do you have anything to do with irrevocable trust or probate?
Yes. So right now I'm currently a trust litigator. I do work on probates. I've worked on forming revocable family trusts, transferring property, healthcare power of attorneys. So a lot of that goes along in estate planning I've been involved with. Yeah.
And how much time do we have? Okay, one more question.
Okay, I'll make it quick. By the way, great campaign team you've got. Let's see. One thing that's been really serious is the homeless problem all over the country, including now in Orange County. And you probably know there's a tax passed in Los Angeles which grants money, but they still aren't building the housing. This seems to be a similar problem here in Orange County. It's not in my backyard. I imagine a big reason is they don't want their property assessments to go down. So I am thinking, what power could you do in that position, if there's anything, to say, hey, we'll put homeless housing in every zip code, yes, and somehow help people so their property won't depreciate, or they would be in serious danger of their depreciation, which I really don't think they will, but assurance from your office might make a big deal.
Of course. And so one of the things that I want to let everyone know is that I could be a voice for the community. And by voting down the ticket, by having people that are up here with me, by having the other people, the Board of Equalization, by having us and the supervisors, by having us all work together, we could make sure we take care of issues like that. And so by making sure everyone votes, and I ask you all to make sure, I know I don't have a problem with this crowd, but I'd like you to vote down the ticket, because if we have all of us who have the same mindset and the same just how we want the county to act with these issues, if we have a united voice, we could take care of serious issues like our homelessness issue. I mean, I'm from Buena Park, so that is right in my backyard, and so I know and I've seen it. So, like I said, vote down the ticket, let's have everyone come on in, and so we could be involved together. So again, thank you very much for having me. Nathaniel Fernandez Epstein for Orange County Assessor, thank you.
Thank you. Finally, we have a candidate for Orange County Sheriff, and this race also could be won in June if a candidate got a majority of the votes, and if not, it would go on to the November ballot. And I love this man's first name, which is Duke, D-U-K-E. Good name recognition here in Orange County. Please welcome Duke Nguyen.
First of all, thank you, Linda, and thank you for the warm welcomes and the invitation to be here tonight. I know you're all busy, but you want to listen to us, and thank you for the panel to being here this evening. My name is Duke Nguyen. I am a long-time term resident of Orange County, 37 years. I am an immigrant. I came from Vietnam. I want to run for Orange County Sheriff to improve how we do business to protect and serve our communities, to protect also providing all diversity citizens in these great counties. A little background about me. My father was an officer in the South Vietnam armies. He was in POW, prisoner of war, for 5 years. After his escape, we came to America on the ocean by boat, spent a couple of years as refugees, came to America in 1981, and I've been here since. I went to high school here in Santa Ana, beautiful city of Santa Ana. Then I went to Cal State Long Beach, got my degree to Cal State Long Beach. I worked for the Santa Police Department, then I went up to LA County and worked for Deputy Sheriff up there, and I'm currently now working for the LA County District Attorney Office as Senior Investigators. My primary responsibility in investigations, I'm currently assigned to JSIT, which stands for Justice Systems Integrity Division. We do two things: officer-involved shooting investigations. Number two, as collateral duties, is I investigate corrupted officials in the government, city council, city mayors. Those are the two things that I do investigation on. Okay? So, 26 year veterans, I know how to do my police job. I worked the great city of Compton and South Central for over 10 years. I understand how to help those people, and I understand how to communicate with people. Okay. My campaign predator initiatives is transparency. Being transparency to our community to get rid of all the corruption that we have. We need to communicate, better communications. Number two is modernizations of our department. We're in the 21st century, yet we're operating far behind. We need to train our people, and we need to also upgrade our people to fight cyber crimes and cybersecurities for our great counties. And lastly, that I take great part, that I enjoy working to, is community partnerships. Police officers, law enforcement, first responders cannot do this job without you as communities. We must interact together, providing workshops and trainings to our communities. I take pride and joy of what I do. This is a passion. 26 years in the career, it is a passion for me. And it's a passion because I have 2 little kids at home. And this is the generation where I want to set presidency for them, not only for them, but for the future generations, our kids. Coming June 5th, I am the only Democratic candidate for the County of Orange. So tonight, I ask for you to reach out for those people who want to change this county, and also for our great Democratic Party. Like Susan said earlier, we're going to turn this county into blue by taking 1 seat at a time, and also wishing Brett Murdoch the same way, changing this county, and also Cotty changing this county, and also Nathan. We got to take this 1 seat at a time. I know I'm going to have a lot of questions and answers tonight, so I'm going to save that time. Again, I want to thank you. Vote for Duke Nguyen to be your new sheriff in town.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. I'm sorry. The first one, how do you feel about a civilian oversight board for the sheriff's department? And the second one, the sheriff's contract that all us contract cities have to sign on, how would you reduce costs?
Well, let's talk about the oversight. The oversight was started by Sheriff Hutchin. She came from LA. I never had the chance to work with her, but during that time, she was a captain and then became commander and retired. And she implemented that when she became sheriff here. And this civilian oversight, her method was to making sure there was no corruption. I think she was new to this county and how business was done in this county. To me, the civilian oversight panel is just a third party to oversee what law enforcement do. Make sure, like I said earlier, is part of that is being transparency. We never have that issues here, and we're having it now. Example is that jailhouse break. Now that's transparency, because that should be come out immediately. That's public safeties. Once you have something like that happen, you need a response. And to answer your second questions, could you ask the second question again? Sheriff contract. Thank you. The sheriff contract, I wanted to go over, my mission is to go over with every cities and look at what's the needs. Because if you don't require, example, K9, helicopters, that could be taken away. Okay, that could be catered and taken away. Whatever that is needed on, that could be added on differently. Now, I know I worked for Compton, and we took Compton cities, and that contract for the first year was underbid. That was $11 million underbid. But the county has provided more to that city, because everybody knows Compton is the greatest city to live, correct? There's no crime in Compton. So the city of, the county of LA bid for $11 million at the beginning of that. So at the end result, that was no K9, no SWAT, no aerial, no special detective. You have 1 detective for the whole entire city. So eventually, there was more help coming in. So it's something that we have to sit with every cities and look at what are your need, so we can provide them with the cost effective. At the same time, we don't want to utilize just to cut the cost to risk public safeties. Prevention is the key, not cutting the budget.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
My question concerns a recent lethal shooting in the area. And I'm a combat veteran, and I know that people get upset when they're around guns. I was one of them. And it's a tough job that cops do. But is there not a program that could be more encouraged to be used around non-lethal resolution? In other words, you know, the rubber bullets, the tasers, the anything other than that. So that would involve cops that are trained to talk a situation down, are familiar with and will use alternatives to lethal response. And if that is the case, how would you allocate budget to make sure that that happens in the Sheriff's Department?
First of all, thank you for your service, your veterans. This is a very sensitive issue as being officer-involved shooting. I just went out to one not too long ago, and we had one last night that occurred. Officer-involved shooting, we want to train our deputies of verbal communications first. If verbal doesn't fail, we would like to use, we call it less non-lethal weapon, which is rubber bullets or beanbag shotguns, taser to that effect. And last resort is probably a K9. If all those fail, then you know, the officer have to, or the deputies have to use what they have to use. They have to justify their reason of using. Lethal is always the last resort. That's how we train our deputies and our officers out there in the field. But however, we cannot be undermining those officers and those out there. Event happen very quick, of a moment of a second. They're very hostile environment out there. They're very hot issues about, you know, using lethal. We don't want to inject that on the officers to protect his or her life and also the communities. So yes, we will have to train and make sure the officers have utilized every resources prior to using deadly force. I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes. Mental problem is the number one issue in law enforcement work. We deal with mental problem every day. I was a mental problem. I was in a MENT team, which is deal with mental problems. And that's something we have to identify. And that's part of the new risk management training today, is training our officer to identify mental health issues and bringing those people to mental health. Not providing a form uniform, but maybe dress down the officer and accompany him or her would be a nurse who is deal with mental health issues. Because that way, that person, allowing that person to communicate versus communicate a person in uniform and entirely understand the command. Yes.
My question is about the jails. And picking up on what Mr. Murdoch said before, it's not only illegal to not tell the defense that you've placed an informant in the cell with their client, it's illegal to place an informant in the cell of a client who's represented by an attorney. So it seems to me that over the course of the next couple of years, the OC Sheriff's been doing this forever, and it seems to me over the course of the next few years, there's going to be a lot of people suing, and the OC Sheriff is going to put us, I believe, on the hook for potentially millions and millions of dollars of payouts. So I'm just interested in your comment about that.
Well, you know, jailhouse informant has been utilized throughout the country in every agency. And this last one here in County of Orange, it was misuse. Okay, that was using the power, and that should stop at the sheriff level. Because what happened in my county jail, that's my responsibility. everyone who's coming in, coming out, and that's part of being transparency I was telling you about. Because I don't want to go to jail. I have 2,800 employees or deputy sheriff I have to protect. And I'm not letting somebody else run my jail. That is my jail. If you want somebody who's coming in, you gave me a reason why you're coming in. And everything has to be noted and being transparency with every party, because that's part of discoveries. Okay? At the end of the day, when you go to trial, that is have to be discovered. You have to make that discovery presented to the defense team. And again, thank you very much for being here tonight. My name is Duke Nguyen for Orange County Sheriff.
Thank you. I think these candidates are just fantastic, and they all deserve a big round of applause. And I'm sure we'll see you again before the primary and the general. Good luck to you all. We have a little time left, so if you'd like to go back to dining room 2 and talk personally with the candidates and have a little bit of refreshment, you're certainly welcome to do that. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Excuse me. Our Get Out the Vote chair, Jeanette Peck, who, by the way, is doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much. Would like a few words with you.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Peck. I may have called you. And thank you to everyone who's going to help with getting out the vote. I think we have about 85 people now getting out the vote. But if for any reason you have not been contacted, this is me. I'll be here for a while. Come up and see me. What we do, you have a choice. You can call people. We call the people who are vote by mail. We'll call them the second week in May. And you just remind them, ask them if they got their ballot, if they have any questions about it, tell them who we're endorsing. And then right before the election, you call the poll people. And they're your neighbors. We just do Laguna Woods. Or you can we're going to have door hangers with our endorsed candidates. You can take them to your neighborhood. If you like, you can knock on the doors. We're only doing Democrats and the no party preference people. You won't have to go to Republicans. And you can knock on the door. If you're new here, it's great. You can just say, hi, I'm your neighbor. I'm a fellow Democrat, and I had the list of the endorsed candidates. And did you get your vote by mail ballot? And do you have any questions? And it's a wonderful thing to do, obviously. We have like an 88% turnout for the general in Laguna Woods, so we've been doing this a long time. And so I just wanted to let you know who I am. And if you have any questions or you want to sign up, I'd like to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. And I'd like to say one more thing. There's this little idea going around on Facebook and other social media. How about a ticket for the Democrats in 2020, Joe Biden for president and Barack Obama for vice president? I would vote for that. Thank you again so much. Good night.